Today's event is really special, and if I'm really honest, my heart is beating a bit because it's a big, bold experiment that we're doing. You might have noticed, even just by entering this space, that for those of you who have been to other events, that this feels different. And this feels different by design. The way we set up the chairs, that it's a bright venue, etc. And this actually originated years ago when I sort of started having this dream of mixing up the event formats a bit. I've had this desire to move away purely from expert audience setup, and which was also partly fueled by a quote by Thich Nhat Hanh, where he said, "The next Buddha is a community." And I really do feel that, especially when we have a regular event and then we go into Q&A. So often I actually feel the questions you're asking, the conversation that wants to emerge is so juicy. So here we are. We have the first ever real participatory event that we have done in this form. And we actually, this is going beyond just New York City. For those of you that might not know, we actually have Creative Mornings chapters in 70 countries, actually in 244 cities. And we extended an invitation to our chapter hosts around the world and sort of told them this idea of trying to break out of the regular talk format and said, is anyone interested in helping us sort of create different ideas and frameworks for more participatory events? And sure enough, we had 31 chapter hosts step up and say like, yes. And not only are they with us collaboratively setting up these new event formats, they're also going to put them into practice and sort of experiment in their chapters and then report back. So, and all of this is supported by Adobe. This is under a campaign that we call Thriving Through Change, where we want to have more of these events where we address topics that are all impacting us in the creative industry, and we're starting out with AI as being the big one. Because AI is divisive. It is really challenging us as a creative community, and we want to acknowledge that. And we want to just see how you're all feeling about it. We want to take a pulse. We want to hear what's on your minds, and we feel like there's no better community than Creative Mornings, where people just show up with so much kindness and respect. So we wanted to design this to be collaborative. Clearly, you're all facing each other, so we can talk with each other. And then we also wanted to, like, not everybody can speak. There's too many people. There's not enough time. So we wanted to find a way that we can get a pulse of where people's opinions are at. So paddles. Does everybody have a paddle? Cool. So the way these paddles work is that they're going to give you the chance to visually sort of express your sentiment. If somebody's making a statement, you can sort of say like, I don't know if I agree with that, or that doesn't resonate. Red doesn't mean no. It's just like, I don't know, right? Green maybe is more like that resonates. So we know that it's more nuanced than that, but we had to go with something. So you can also go like this if you're just flat out confused or don't know. All right, so normally we do a stand-up biff, but because we don't have slides, we're going to do the stand-up biff with these and practice our paddle skills. Okay. My first question to you, and green is sort of, yes, I agree with this, or I resonate with this. Red is no. Are you a morning person? I applaud all the red cards for being here. That is really impressive. Okay, you get this. You're fast learners. Is this your first Creative Mornings event? The green paddles? I will hug you all if you come up to me afterwards. Okay, we're going to go more into the topic now. You are currently using AI in your work in some shape or form? Wow. See, this is amazing. You are currently using AI in your personal life. Wild. You are feeling hopeful about the future of AI. Wow, this is so powerful. I love you, these guys, yeah. I'm concerned about the future of AI. I have to say, from now on, paddles everywhere I go. I want paddles in the subway. I want paddles everywhere. Yo, this really works. Exa, I'm handing it over to you now.
goodness, I feel like Britney Spears. Well, okay, first of all, the one thing that I'm excited about is that these paddles are really like shimmering, and I was a little nervous that they would feel a little intense. We want to make sure that when someone is sharing and you're being vulnerable by coming up to this stage and offering an insight, that you're not just like in a sea of red. So I just want to remind you all that the red is like, it means I feel differently. So if you are sharing something and you see red, it's not about you, okay? AI is a topic, it's fascinating that we chose this one because it is something so big and so unprecedented that there's going to be a lot of different experiences, and we're really excited to surface some of that here. That is the intention of this event. So before I dive into kind of our hot takes part, I want you to just turn to your neighbor. Okay, let's start over. I'm going to ask you to turn to your neighbor and share, what is your current relationship with AI? I'm going to give you 5 minutes to just like talk. Make sure that, my mic went. Make sure that the neighbor you turn to, that if there's someone around you who doesn't have a neighbor, you talk to them, bring people in. 5 minutes. What is your current relationship with AI? If you are one of the people that raised your paddle and you are you're not a morning person and you don't want to talk to anybody, just show them your card and be like, not today, my friend. I am here and I am reflecting by myself. Okay, 5 minutes. What is your current relationship to AI? Go ahead. Turn to your neighbor. You have 2 minutes remaining. Make sure that your other friend has had the opportunity to speak. 2 minutes remain. if you hear the sound of the chime, if you can hear me, raise your hands. Raise your paddle, excuse me. Can you hear me? Raise your paddle. Raise your paddle. Cool. Thank you. I don't know if you hear it, but there's a fairy magic happening with Miss Christina Hug, who is our professional xylophonist. All right, if you shared something or heard something that surprised you, or didn't, let's do paddles. Did you learn something that surprised you, red or green? Or are you kind of like, no, that was to be expected? Green, okay. Little red, little green. Cool, okay, we're gonna move into what we're calling hot takes. Now, I want to emphasize that the reason they're called hot takes are not because we're trying to stir up, intensity, but because they're going to last for up to 2 minutes and no more. And at the 2-minute mark, you will hear the xylophone, Christina. She's been practicing for weeks, and your time will be up. So essentially, I'm going to invite you to think about 3 questions. They're on the card, so if you forget, it's right in front of you. How do you use AI in your work or personal life? What concerns or challenges do you have about AI? And what are your hopes or aspirations? I'm going to invite you to have a hot take that is one of these things. The intention of this exercise is not to come to conclusions. It's really to just, again, surface the ideas. We want to hear how you're using it. We want to hear if you have a question, you can pose that to the group. We want to hear if you have a concern. Again, we're surfacing here. It's a 30-minute conversation. Like, I hate to, if you came expecting to leave with answers, like, I'm sorry. It's existential. So it's going to be a minute. All right, so essentially, we were expecting to have wireless mics to run to you all. We don't have those. So you're going to run with us. This is an experiment. Essentially, what's going to happen is if you have a hot take that you would like to share, I'm going to say, who has a hot take? And you're going to raise your paddle to indicate whether it's leaning in the concern direction or in the excitement direction. Christina, thank you for modeling that. Which is which? Red is concern. Green is go. Green, go. Think about a traffic light. After that, you're going to share your hot take up to 2 minutes. And then I'm going to invite some sizzles. Because you know when you do a hot take and you're like, tss. So the sizzles can either be green or red. They can be a question that you have for the person who just shared. They can be an addition, like, oh, you use GPT for your emails? Like, here's one way that I use it for my email. It's like we're adding on. For the sake of making sure that we can surface a lot of different opinions, I hope we don't just say, I think that's a great idea. Because that's what the green tells you. So when someone is sharing, if you're really vibing, show your green. If you're like, I don't know, show your red, but with love. So again, we don't have someone like, oh, okay. The sizzles can take up to 60 seconds. The way this is going to run, let's do a little experiment. Where is my friend Avery? Okay, so I'm going to be like, who has a hot take? Oh, Avery has a hot take. Oh, just raise your paddle first. Raise your paddle. Great. Avery, come up to the mic, please.
Hi.
Okay, share your hot take.
Hi, everybody. My name is Avery. I'm from Toronto. I work as a tech educator, so that means a lot of my job is knowing a lot about AI so I can teach it to other people. So I have both a neutral, positive hot take and a more kind of devious hot take. Which one do you want first?
Go. You only have 2 minutes.
Listen,
so
right here,
go
on
for
both
it.
sides, they're like, go for the evil. Okay. My interesting hot take, these both come from research. So the more negative one comes from a white paper that was published by Microsoft, of all people, about the impact of generative AI on people who are knowledge workers, particularly the impact on their critical thinking. Knowledge workers were asked over a number of months to reflect on their critical thinking skills after using generative AI. And pretty much all of them said that they felt that the use of generative AI reduced their critical thinking skills, which I thought was very, very interesting.
Yeah, I like
I
these
can
paddles.
see that resonates with a lot of people.
We're trying, okay.
And then my kind of hopeful hot take about AI, again, is research-based. It comes from my hometown of Toronto, where a university called St. Michael's University, sorry, not university, it's a It's a hospital. Geez, Ave, I need a coffee. A hospital called St. Michael's Hospital has been using AI. No, it's not generative AI, because there is a difference between generative AI and other types of AI. They were using an AI tool called ChartWatch that was taking vital signs and diagnoses from people that were in the hospital and monitoring them. And this tool alerted the critical care team when something was changing in their vital signs. And this team found that over the use of this tool for 4 years, this is hard facts, friends, 26% reduction in deaths. There you go.
Thank you, Avery. She didn't even go through the time, so we didn't get to have the xylophone. Okay, and now I'm going to say, oh, are there any sizzles? Christina, you have a sizzle. I don't know all of your names, so I'm just going to point to you. But we have an example of a sizzle. Christina, you have 60 seconds.
I have a green sizzle, Avery, around agreeing with the idea around the critical thinking, and I think it's sort of the education around using AI and generative AI is also around discernment and the ability to look at what's being put to you and be able to discern, is that factual, is that a hallucination, is that something else? But I've also seen around the critical thinking and creative thinking is that it's one thing to operationalize tasks and sort of give those to the robots, but the idea of like creating new ideas and coming up with things. I've been around campfires where ordinarily we would be singing a song and coming up with just punny verses about our friends, and people started putting prompts into ChatGPT and reading the lyrics, and I'm like, the vibes are off. Like, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. And so just like handing over some of our creativity is part that like I have a bit of like sort of, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna.
Time's up. All right. So after that, I would say, any other sizzles? Essentially, here's where we're trying to improvise a little bit with the mics. I'm going to invite one person at a time to give a hot take. And when it's time for sizzles, if you have a sizzle, we can do up to 3. So maybe just come up to the mic quietly. We're going to see how this goes. Actually, sorry, I'm going to remix that. When it's after the person gives a hot take, if I'm going to say, who has a sizzle? Well, first I'm going to say, how do y'all feel about that? Okay. How do y'all feel about that? What Avery said. Okay. I'm like, who has a sizzle that they want to share? And if you have a red or green sizzle, I would like to know so that I can pick from a diversity of perspectives. So I'd be like, okay, we got a sizzle there. We're not actually going to do it yet, but we got a sizzle there. We got a sizzle there. He's ready. Okay. Any questions? We're going to do it. Okay. Why don't we just like hop on that? So you have a sizzle. Come up and give your sizzle. And let's give like some snaps for a sizzler. Okay, you have 60 seconds.
60 seconds, okay. So my name is Aston, from Chicago, living in Brooklyn, 14 years. Your sizzle to, my red sizzle, to the initial critical thinking piece. I would say, one, I would pose this question to the group. How many people use ChatGPT just for like emails and things like that? Okay. Now, how many people have gone deeper into creating their own agents, looking at large language models, going to sites like Hugging Face to look deeper into it? Now that's what I want to point out in terms of the critical thinking. I think if you go a bit more deeper into what AI can do, agents, what these large language models are, and these haven't changed, these are around for a while. I know, you're coming up. I'm just saying, I want to look more critically at that study, and please share it with me later to see how far that critical thinking goes into creating more solutions with AI. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, so that was awesome. Thank you. A quick note for our timekeeping. Christina's timekeeping, Meredith is going to hold up this sign when you have 15 seconds remaining, just so we have a little pulse check. Okay, any other sizzles that anyone wants to offer? Yes.
Hi, I'm Jay Dixit. I'll do a sizzle on the critical thinking. To me, it just seems it's all about how you use it. Like, if I have a thought, a perception that I'm not sure about, I can check it with ChatGPT and say, like, is this right? You know, like, Kieran Culkin, I don't think he should win the Oscar because he's just playing himself, and so he doesn't deserve it. And I can say that to. But I can say that to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can say back to me, well, I mean, playing yourself, that's not easy. Like, that maybe requires as much subtlety and nuance and capability as an actor as anything else. And so who's to say that's easy? And also, if I write something, I can run it by ChatGPT and say, like, find the flaws, like, challenge me, where are the gaps in my argument? And to me, that increases my critical thinking.
Thank you. I know, y'all are on time. Okay, that is 3 sizzles, so I'm going to invite, who is our next hot take? I'm just gonna, Maya? Yeah. Come up to the mic, because we have a live stream. So this is where we're just gonna like show our little sizzle cards and have a moment where we get to celebrate each other. Reminder to the proper side of your sizzle card so we know what's up. You have 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I'll be quicker than that, I think. So my name is Mahio Tusi. I'm an artist. I'm also a grant maker in the arts. So if you're an artist and need a grant and doing something cool, come see me afterwards. My question is this. Can we have an honest conversation about AI, having lived through the last 20 years with the internet and social media, divorced of the people who are behind it and the market forces within which it's being cultivated and grown?
That is a beautiful question. Thank you. Does anyone have a response that they want to share? Raise your paddle super high, and if not, yes, I see one. No? Okay, so this is an example where we have a beautiful take. We're just taking it in. Do you want to share a response? Yes, come on up. And while we're doing that, how do people feel about what was just said? Yeah, it was a great point. Okay, go ahead.
Joe Rojas, I'm a technologist, and no, we can't. Yeah.
Okay, hot take.
It's just, we can't. We can try, but we can't because it's just, you can't divorce it from it. It's just the way it is, right? So what we can do is we can look at whether we can, it terrifies, if you look at my name tag, it says it terrifies me and it excites me, right? And it really does that. So just the answer to your question is no, dude. So we can't have we really have to do it on top of that. So that's the conversation that has to get had. And this is the right communities to have that conversation.
Thank you. One thing I want to emphasize too is we're speaking from personal experiences. Tina, yes.
I have a hot take from the live stream, and I
Great.
want to integrate the live streamers. I didn't even say hello to the live streamers. Hello, live
Hello.
streamers. I'm so sorry. There's a hot take from, sorry, I'm just going to barrel in here, and
Please.
this hot take is coming in hot and
Remix.
strong. Somebody said, I actually don't know the name, Brian, if you can type in the name, please. We should have a way to identify or tag AI-generated work. Oh, no, actually, it's from Amanda Harvey on the live stream. Did we get that? We should have a way to identify or tag AI-generated work.
Any sizzles on that? Like a yes or I've seen it. If not, who's our next hot take? Oh, wait, do you have a sizzle? No? Yeah.
I was going to say.
You have a hot take. Go for it.
No, I was just going to jump in on that. Like, it's been I'm a creative director. My name is Catherine. I'm in New York. And that's been a big question, like especially with competitions and things where people are submitting things that are photography that look like it's real and then it's not. And personally, like, I always feel slightly deceived when I see something and I think that's cool. Or conversely, if I see something, I saw these cakes that were shaped like typography, and I was like, those are amazing. And then I was like, is this AI? And it was not. It was real. And I thought, that's awesome. So I do think that transparency is super important, especially with creativity.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Yes, please. Go for it. We got a hot take. I also just want to emphasize, like, while people are walking, again, just like sitting with what the person has just said. Take a note. You can share a note to your neighbor. Like, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Divya. I'm a yoga teacher, and I'm sort of deeply invested in the wellness world. My hot take and question has to do with AI and mental health and accessibility of mental health. So I have a question, just like you did. My question is, how many of you have used ChatGPT to address something you're dealing with? Like something emotional, like family problem, friend problem, whatever. Okay. All right, that's a good mix. And how many of you regularly speak to your friends or your family about the same types of problems? Okay. More green. That's good. That's a good sign. But my concern is that the accessibility of ChatGPT, it has a plus side. I think it is making mental health support more available to people who may not otherwise be able to get access to it if you're isolated, if you're not close to therapists, if you don't have the finances for it. And it's quick, right? It's gratifying. You have a problem, you put it in, and you get an instant response. You know you're going to get some kind of support in that moment of crisis. My concern is that with this same accessibility, people are going to lose the social and sort of psychological behavior that it requires to reach out to people, to inconvenience yourself, and that other people are going to be less able to be inconvenienced to support their peers, their family, their friends, because everyone just turns to the friend in their pocket, right? It's much easier that way. So that's my hot take, is that AI is a good tool for making mental health support more accessible, but that it might be untraining some social behaviors that we really need to have as a species.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. Sizzles. Sizzle, yeah.
Hi, my name is Brianna. I'm really deep in the tech world, but I'm also a writer by trade, so I'm learning about the intersection between the two worlds. My sizzle is mostly affirmative. I met a tech CEO who is really talented. He can build like prosthetics that can respond to like your muscle movements and things like that. So very deep within the tech world, he actually built an online psychologist that is AI powered. And he realized when he did so, he got emails from people saying, this saved me like so much money and time because AI comforted me more than my therapist ever could. And when he realized that, he took it off the market. He was like, I'm horrified. I've created something monstrous. Because he said that AI is not intended to replace human connection. AI is almost like a secret other thing. It's non-human and non-animal. And we have created a new being that we have to evolve alongside. It's almost like when we domesticated animals and we started to learn how to care for them and integrate them into our life. So being able to define what AI is to us as a being, as a specimen, is something that we have to face as humanity.
Thank you. Do we have any sizzles on top of that sizzle? Yeah. I will be better at calling on all of you, I promise.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sherry. I'm a CMO in a coaching firm. My sizzle is that I think that AI will replace human relationships to an extent, but it'll actually make them so much more precious and rare that what it gives us will only hit so much, and we're actually going to value in the same way that in luxury, craftsmanship has become such a beautiful and precious thing because there's so much commercialized and machine-made. The same will happen to the human interaction. It'll actually become much more precious, much more rare, much more expensive.
All right, sizzles on that sizzle. Anybody? Oh, yes, and then I'll take one in the back.
Hi, my name's Jason. I'm a film editor. And my sizzle, as far as the impact of AI on mental health, is I think it's really just an extension of technology, social technology like social media even. I was listening to a podcast recently where they were talking about the role of clubs in building community and bolstering your sense of self in mental health. And they're talking about how there's a perception that people are less engaged with each other because of technology and social media, but in fact they're more engaged with each other. And my thought on that was that we live in an age of increasing political fragmentation, and a lot of that is because so many of us have fewer friendships of proximity rather than chosen families of clubs of like-minded people. So that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to invite y'all for 2 minutes, turn to your neighbor, digest a little bit of what we have been hearing. We'll come back and we'll have more hot takes. 2-3 minutes, digest, share, you can reflect.
All right, everyone, I'm gonna invite you to come back. Wave your paddle if you can hear me. Give me some paddle confetti if you can hear me. If you can hear me, paddle confetti. And no more talking, paddle confetti. If you can hear me, raise your hand. If you can hear me, raise your hand. We're coming back. We're coming back. Okay, thank you so much. We will have another moment to talk with each other. I hope that was fruitful. I was like, I feel like we need to talk to each other. Okay, I want to get a hot take from this side. Jacqueline.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline. I do communications and marketing, and I'm a dance teacher as well. And one thing that my group, we were talking about over there, is that it would be really helpful to have a definition of AI and to be talking specifically about what we agree with and what we don't agree with. Because, for instance, at the beginning, when, I forget her name, I'm so sorry, but she said actual evidence, actual studies, and said this is actually what happened. And I think most people here would think that a 26% increase in life and not death is a good thing, right? But many of us would not think that, you know, AI, like when I see a dance-generated AI or dance-generated like idols or whatever, I'm like, oh, I don't wanna, I'm not engaging with that, right? And so those are two very different things. And so when we talk about AI, I think we have to be specific about what it can be used for and what it can't be used for, or what we don't agree with it being used for. And so I just want to say that also, not all of us come to the table with like the same background information. Like I don't use AI at all. I don't use ChatGPT. I've never used it. I know people who do, but I've never done it. So I don't really know what like generative AI is, or like hugging whatever, right? Like, so, sorry, like, I don't know. So like, knowing that and like maybe giving definitions is also really helpful because we're not all in the same place with it.
That is awesome. I want to remind, or not remind, let people know, we do have a WhatsApp group that's going to be for this exact thing where we can share resources, share conversations. Tina's going to tell you about it, but I just want to plant that seed because we know that, especially in a space of like 200 people, we can't all be on the same page. So I think that's an awesome point. Any sizzles to that? I'm trying to give some love to this side over here. You already spoke, so I'm going to, nope, great. Any sizzles? Yes, sizzle it.
We're all using AI, whether we like it or not, because of the fact that if you Google something, if you use email, even your voicemails on your iPhone, using AI to transcribe that. But I think overall, just understanding our relationship to it, and to the point about critical thinking, Brendan and I were just talking about the fact that we do have to realize that critical thinking has been on the decline before people started using all of these things. So we have to understand, what's the larger problem that we should solve for. Thank you.
All right, sizzles to that, or AI and late stage capitalism. Z.
We get to vote. People think we vote every 4 years, but we get to vote every day with the choices that we make and the products that we choose to use. And I think everyone in this room should take a responsibility and think about the products that we want to invest in our lives. So I hope someone develops the next generation of AI. And this is why I think community is so important. Because if we responsibly look at each other in our clubs, in our communities, and say, we want to build better models of AI, I think we'll do good.
Awesome. Okay, Lenny, I know you had a hot take.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Creative Mornings. My name's Lenny. So I work in technology for my day job, but I also really love politics. And I really love the idea of local politics and kind of what politics can do for people. So my take is that I think in technology, the way that kind of humanity and generations have pushed forward is that we've created new technologies. We've created innovations, and in general, it has helped people. But also, we know that technology can be used to exploit people, exploit systems, right? So I think in my head this is my question or hot take is what is the role of government? What is the role of systems to help make sure that these new technologies, these new things aren't exploiting people? We're allowing for the advances to make sure we as a humanity are advancing, But we're also understanding that these things and these new advancements can be exploitative. And what can we do to help make that like understood and I think someone's point is like to raise awareness for it, but then also what's the role of government to then regulate it? So I think that's just the thing I play in. Yeah.
All right, sizzles. I'm gonna look over here. Any sizzles over here? Any sizzles over here? You have 2 people. Any other hot takes? Go ahead, yes. And remember, if you're a sizzler and you're feeling shy, if you're a hot taker, like this is a very generous space. If your voice is shaking, it's okay. You are welcome here. Go ahead.
I've been waiting for this for my entire life. No, I'm kidding.
Not shy.
No. My name's Todd Signs, director, creative handyman. I do basically everything. Build stuff, musician, etc. I did the first music video before Paul Trillo with 100% AI tools and made 4,000 images with it and 375 shots with it. And I spoke at Pratt a couple of months ago, which a team of really disgruntled students were wondering whether or not they should be including this in their program, whether they should be using Pratt Institute's dollars to basically use it to, basically exploit artists. And they were worried about their exploitation and basically building AI tools on the backs of humans, which it very much is. That is just one issue that, I've come to terms with. I've also really scaled back the amount of Midjourney and runway creation, and now I'm just completely frustrated with it and think that there are new tools that need to be made based on our own data sets as opposed to pooling everybody else's together, because I think I'm 51, soon to be 52. I've been doing this stuff since I was 13, so I've got like 40 years of history of stuff I could train my own models on that could generate more stuff that is based on what I've done instead of what the collective consciousness does. And if I have the books of Magritte and Mondrian and any other artist and photographer that's influenced me, I should be able to have that as a parametric tool to slide things in and say, I want to incorporate this into what I'm doing. The amount of water I probably did in this was we're done?
No, sorry, I'm
okay, you're agreeing. Okay. So I basically think drained a pond, and this girl in this class was brought to tears at the amount of water consumption used to create AI tool or to create work with AI. And I think we have to really think about, should we support this? That's it. I could keep going.
That is a great point. Thank you. Yes. Water consumption. We're also going to share some articles in the WhatsApp, thanks to my friend Lila. Hey, Lila. So that we can talk about that, because that is one of the facts that I think a lot of people are debating about. And I want to just, if y'all have resources on energy and AI, we would love for them to go in the WhatsApp, because I think it's a big topic. Meredith. Meredith has a take. Or sizzle.
Hey everyone, yes, actually that was exactly what I was gonna sizzle on with what Lenny was saying, how AI can be exploitative of people and their work and time, but also our earth. So the energy, the water consumption, and I just had no idea for so long actually what the environmental ramifications are of using, and I'm still learning so much. But now I have a visceral reaction whenever I hear someone talk about how they used ChatGPT for something, where I'm just thinking about all of the negative environmental impacts. And there's so many ways that we live that we don't even quite know the impact of our actions. And like Z was saying, how we're voting with our dollar and our time. So I think just awareness is big right now, and just transparency. Yeah.
Thank you. Sizzles, hot takes. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Mark. I'm in the illustration for comic books and design for television film space. I was having a great conversation with our neighbors kind of about the environmental impact. And my stance right now, and I love to get pushback and hear other thinking, but I feel like my posture right now is more in the realm of thinking about going into the future, how we're talking a lot about like using less energy moving into the future, but I kind of feel like as we go forward, we're just going to need access to more and more and more energy. When we're building starships in space to explore the galaxy, it takes a lot of energy. And so I kind of feel like the people in charge who have control over this, my hope is that they will think more about how energy is produced rather than the amount that's consumed.
Thank you. Looks like we have Lila Sizzle. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Lila. I work in community organizing, and also I'm a writer. And I just think that when we have these conversations about needing to use more energy and all this stuff, I'm kind of like, what are we even talking about? Like, we're not going to be here to use AI if we kill the planet. And I just feel like everyone's like, it's so convenient. It helps me do things faster. It helps me be better at my job. And I don't understand this need for speed. Like, we are already so overwhelmed by the speed of the earth and the way that media is moving. And I'm just like, why is faster better? Like, why can't we slow down? Why don't we sit with our creative struggles and the struggle interpersonally to then connect with one another? Because that's what it means to be human, and we know the joy that that brings. And so my, I guess, sizzle is just like, we really need to be conscious about the things that bring us joy, and that's one-on-one human connection and the earth and the clean air and all that stuff. So that's me.
Yeah, back there, we got a hot take or sizzle coming in. We have about 3 more minutes, so if you, you're the next hot take back there, and then after her. Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name is Marina Vitoftova, and I have been really concerned about environmental impact of AI for a while. And I also discovered like all this water use and compute that's required for AI. And then DeepSeek came out, and we all actually in most tools you can choose to use DeepSeek. It uses a lot less compute power, and the less compute power, the less water it uses. And it also taught me to kind of think, well, like things develop so fast with AI that we kind of don't know what else is possible, and it became possible so quickly. Like we now have this AI model that's not that compute intensive. So it's kind of how it was with Industrial Revolution. We don't actually have a way to not explore this and to pause it and to stop it. It's just in our human kind of nature to feel this empowerment. Thank you.
All right, we have one more. I've called on you a long time ago. Your turn.
I'm much shorter. Hi, my name is Aya. I'm a technologist. I want to mention 2 things that I believe are big issues in AI. One specific to the creative community, which is how whether it exploits artists' information, data, creativity in order to build it. I think that's a real issue. There's a very live conversation happening about how to deal with that, meaning what does it mean for an artist to give consent? Is it a good idea to withhold consent, which means we're more likely to end up with an internet that looks more like the app ecosystem where everybody is locked up with their information? There's a very live conversation happening about that, and I would encourage you to get involved if you're interested. The second thing is the idea around AI being a black box. So the biggest problem is we actually don't know how many of these models work because they are closed. They are these black boxes, and you're not sure what bias is going on in there, what shortcuts are being taken. And so there's a very large community that's working on that exactly in order to scrutinize AI and hold these companies accountable and really analyze how these algorithms work. And a lot of that work is happening in the open source AI community. So when you hear that term, I would just encourage you to be curious about the open source AI community. These are groups of people who are extremely well-meaning, who really want to empower researchers and academics to dive into how AI works and then hold the companies that make them accountable and encourage an ecosystem of entrepreneurs to prop up more open source data, information, data, models. So I would say wherever kind of that word pops up in front of you, be a little curious about it, show your interest, show that there's market interest in it, show that there will be a customer for it. If you have chances or ways to donate to these organizations, please do, because what they're trying to do is essentially try to get to the heart of some of these issues that are being mentioned here. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Y'all, that was a great segue, again, to remind you about the WhatsApp. Tina's going to talk about it in a second, but this was a really awesome. Thank you, everyone who shared. Thank you, everyone who waved your paddles. More to come. I hope you, leave feeling like you have at least a sense of what other people are experiencing and thinking and feeling about this.